Hi,
Oh,
thank you for helping me. And oh my God, I'm
no
so
problem.
nervous.
It's okay.
My name is Aurora, and maybe you can introduce yourself first. Like, where are you from?
Yes, my name is Megan. I'm from Northern Ireland.
Okay. I'm curious about culture and art in the UK. How would you define British culture in a few words?
Hmm. Um, like diverse would definitely be one of them. Uh, diverse. Um, hmm. I don't know. Diverse, probably like it's probably always not necessarily culture, but it's probably always changing. Like there's new things from different because the UK is so diverse with people's backgrounds. New things from other people's cultures are probably gaining more popularity. Um, Instead of it just being a lot of like white, traditional things like um Asian backgrounds are getting more popular and like food wise and um like art wise, similar with people from like black sort of backgrounds, food wise and stuff. Like food is a big part of British culture, I would say. So yeah.
And how do the British school or maybe universities promotes cultural awareness through the arts?
Mm. Um, I would say university wise, it helps a lot with culture and arts. Because probably a big barrier for people going to museums and theatre would be the price of tickets. Like the prices are going up for a lot of things, but with universities, you can get like student discount. So then you're getting a bit of money then off the ticket. So that is probably promoting, more people to go to museums or theatre.
Do you personally engage with the arts? I mean, like visiting the museums, galleries, or maybe theater?
Where I'm from, there's probably not as much theatre, but I would go here and there if there's one that interests me. Um, Museum wise, we do have a good couple of museums that I think I've been to pretty much all of them. We wouldn't have the likes of sometimes I would go to London and there would be like galleries on for like a specific just period of time, like we pop up galleries. Um, so I would go to those whenever I would be over in London. I would make use of going to those. We wouldn't be lucky. We won't be as lucky to have them over here. Um, but no, yes, I do. Like if there's one that interests me, I would go to them. Yeah.
And do you think classical music is still relevant in today's British society? And yeah,
Um, I would say with younger people, probably not. I would say it's probably the popularity for it's probably decreased. Um, there obviously are a few people who would listen to that sort of thing still. Um, I suppose a lot of people who would maybe listen to classical music would be those maybe doing like classical instruments, like piano, and the like of that would probably listen to that stuff. But other people in general, I don't think it would be as popular today.
And do you personally like classical music?
I would maybe back whenever I was in school, I would have had classical music playing maybe whenever I was revising notes. Um, but I wouldn't particularly listen to it. Just
And like, what usually you
during the
listen
normal day.
to classical music? I mean, maybe like the Beethoven or Vivaldi or something.
I think it was I can't remember. I don't know the artist. I think it was. It would have been more uh, what is it, like play, like soundtracks almost. Do you know like Swan Lake,
Ah, Swan Lake,
things like
yeah,
that,
yeah.
or yes, like things like
Yes,
that.
yeah, yeah.
So not necessarily specific artists, but maybe like from like play soundtracks.
I'm curious what the society in there, what the biggest social challenges facing modern society today.
Um, Probably the major one is like finances for people. Just things are getting more and more expensive, really, as it is probably everywhere in the world. Um, just from obviously, different wars happening like Palestine and like Russia, Ukraine, they're all having like a global effect. So things are just getting more and more expensive. Whether it's, just like your food shop or like housing, is really, really increased over here. Uh, but then at the same time, there's not really much differences to people's like wages.
Mm-hmm.
So things are probably just getting more difficult for people in that way. In other ways, I would probably just say the finance aspect of it's probably the biggest. Yeah.
And do you think people in the UK are generally open to different cultures and ways of life?
I do think people are becoming more and more open, really, as the more of it's introduced. And you'd find probably with the likes of social media, it's probably helping that. So, if, say, on like TikTok or Instagram, if there was a restaurant or cafe that got really, really popular, and say it was, I don't know, like Filipino, like food from the Philippines, and it got really popular, people would be more accepting to try that stuff and maybe try other like Asian cuisine and things. So yeah, I would say probably in recent times are getting more and more accepting of it, especially because student wise in the UK, there's a lot of students that come in from abroad. From the likes of, I'd probably say China brings in a lot of students to us.
Yes.
So even like in their sort of food and cultural aspects probably are getting more and more popular here as well.
In the UK, government addresses issues like homelessness and poverty.
Again, they probably could focus on it a lot more. They have tried to sometimes with housing. So back in like London in 2012, whenever the Olympics was hosted there, the like villa for all the athletes was then changed into like housing and like government housing for people. So with things like that are maybe open for a certain event for a short amount of time, they would then change it for housing that way. But yeah, I would say homelessness is probably becoming a bigger issue in the UK again with the like increased pricing in housing. So again, probably could do a lot more to help.
How do the British people typically balance work and family life?
I would say probably the average UK sort of citizen probably work just like a 9 to 5 job. And then if they've got kids on top of that, they would have to have either kids in or like young kids in daycare, or then dropping the kids off at school before 9 o'clock, which is typically the start time for schools. Sometimes it might be a wee bit earlier, at like 8 or 8:30. And then schools typically finish before parents would get finished. So it would either be kids going to after school clubs, or either just if they're like nearby their school, just making their own way home. And then after school, it varies a lot depending on obviously the family and the people, and just with sort of extracurricular activities that the families do, whether it's like sporting things for the kids, or like music lessons, or just things like that. But it's probably tight enough going when you're thinking about trying to balance, making like actual healthy, nutritious meals for the family, and making sure you're healthy on top of things as well, like making time for yourself. So it can probably be a lot for an individual.
What are some popular social media in the UK right now, and why people prefer them?
The probably most popular ones are like TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat. With the likes of TikTok and Instagram, it's probably where Instagram is probably like the Reels part of it. So it's similar to TikTok, probably just because they're like really short videos. People just sort of scroll just on them to pass the time. And then with like Twitter, probably with the aspect of just keeping up with news, and sort of like global topics, and then as well as like Instagram, Twitter, and Snapchat, like the communication aspect of it, so like talking with friends or meeting new people.
Mm-hmm. And how's the social media helped with these communities during times of crisis like the COVID-19 pandemic?
During the pandemic, social media helped a lot, I would say, because you were isolating, you weren't seeing friends and stuff, so you were relying a lot on social media for communication. So like you were doing Zoom calls with people, or like FaceTimes, or just texting online with friends. As well as at like universities and schools, because in the UK we had quite a few lockdowns. So a lot of the schools like were closed for in person for a good while, like a good number of months. And a lot of it then was done online through Zoom calls, or like something similar on different apps. So like the UK relied like really, really heavily on social media during COVID, just for sort of everyday daily life to keep sort of running.
That's all of the questions that I'm curious about the UK. Thank you, Megan, for helping me and my friends. Thank you so much, really.
No problem. No problem.